Do not fucking confuse confidence with ego. Ego is fucking insecurity. It is not confidence.
Alexa, play the Business and Beyond podcast.
Playing the Business and Beyond podcast on Next Gen Media.
Coming to you from the Apogee Graphics Studios, this is the Business and Beyond podcast on Next Gen Media. I'm Ashton.
I'm Tony.
I'm Tyler.
How are you guys doing?
And can't complain. Well, I could complain, but I'm not going to complain.
No one wants to do it.
I played golf on Saturday, so I'm not going to complain. A little
that's
tired,
nice.
sunburn, but
How'd you play?
I shot a 102. But we played best tee drive, so it's probably worse than that. We played my drive, or my tee off 4 holes, so it wasn't bad. I'm the worst player out of the 4, so.
I badly want to play golf. I just am not good at it.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it either, so you just got to find the right people to play with. Some people are real serious.
Well, it looks like I need to play with you.
I don't know.
Yeah, I enjoy playing, but I'm not by any means good. I hit a lot of good, I hit some good shots, but overall putting a whole game together, that doesn't usually work out.
I'm pretty good at Topgolf.
But I enjoy going out and spending time with the guys.
Which is pretty much like golfing. It's just like golfing.
Except you can hit a horrible shot and still score points.
Yeah, I like to
depending
putt.
on which game
I like
you're
to
playing.
putt. I mean,
that's basically
same,
golf.
right?
Same. Just work on your short game. I mean,
Yeah.
You never know.
So, you guys, Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
just got
Big
extended
moves.
to, yeah?
Big moves.
Yeah, they should have.
You think that's
should
why
have
they
signed
freed
Dak
up
years ago?
Hopkins
Yeah,
to pay him?
probably so.
You think he's going to be as good without Hopkins?
Yeah, I think receivers have a lot less to do with the success than
Even Hopkins?
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's...
how many in the history of receivers? I mean, they continue to come, and you're gonna.
I feel like he is, if Julio Jones is the best receiver in the league, like overall, I think he's number B.
I mean, look at Matt Stafford.
But what has having the number 1 receiver in the league done for the Falcons?
It helps the quarterback. It doesn't help.
But,
I mean, Matt Stafford was one of the top quarterbacks when he had Megatron. Now he's just an overpaid.
I think Stafford's good though. I like Stafford.
Pretty good.
Actually.
I mean,
Yeah, but you look at the Lions, their success. I mean, they haven't been known to have good defenses.
I think the Falcons' problem is their defense because it's like this softest
28
defense.
28-3.
Yeah, go them.
Yeah, now Dak, his number probably just went up to sign him.
Yeah, but I think that's everybody knows that though. I felt like that's the.
They should just.
Do we know the next big free agent for the Cowboys? Is it just Dak now? Because we paid Lawrence, we paid.
Yeah, unless somebody else holds out. I mean, you're looking at Van Der Esch in a couple of years, maybe.
Cooper got paid already, right?
Cooper signed.
Who else is there? Anybody? Any big? Jump Byron?
Not for a couple of years, unless they do like Zeke and hold out when you still have
So that's
2 years left on your contract.
Yeah, I would say Dak is
next big one. Maybe that's why. Well, he did it because of the TV deal.
Oh, he probably won't be. He probably won't be a free agent.
Offensive
because
lineman. I don't know all the contracts. I don't know if they've locked up all of the linemen.
Well, I think they keep pushing him off for salary cap. They keep restructuring their deals, so they're probably there for a while. I feel like unless the Cowboys just don't want to give him another franchise tag, Dak has no reason to leave. Because I don't know the number, but a second straight year on a franchise tag, it's gonna be like 40-something million probably.
Well, yeah, I think anytime you get a quarterback, whether you think Dak is good or not, I think they're gonna get paid.
Yeah.
I mean that's part of the position.
Yeah.
I do think Dak is good enough though. So
I just don't want to go those. I just don't want to go through those years between Aikman and Romo.
Yeah,
that was just Testaverde.
Quincy Carter? He was. Chad
Quincy
Henne?
Carter was the best one out of that's the Brad Johnson and Vinny Testaverde. And
speaking of that, you were with us when we went down to their training camp, weren't you?
No,
you didn't go with us.
No,
we got Tony. I have Tony Romo's
before.
Rookie autograph on a napkin. Also, I had Billy Cundiff's
before we made it.
Mm-hmm.
Romo was a rookie.
Mm-hmm. He was on the.
That was a couple.
Cowboys.
It was. Dang, that was a couple years before he even played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. He was.
Him and Witten.
He was what do you call it? A free agent,
undrafted free
Yeah,
agent.
that's it. Yeah, he was on the practice team while we got his autograph. So he's like rookie practice team.
You're just like, hey,
Romo.
you're talking to us. Give me an autograph. I
You
don't
got a jersey.
When he
Well,
was
You have a helmet? Can I
when
have
he
your
was
autograph?
walking by, Billy Cundiff was there, and there's the dude yelling at Billy Cundiff because I think he was a rookie or like a first year guy, and this other dude kept walking by, and I was like hanging over the edge, and he was like kind of behind him, so he walked up to me, so I was like, sure, and he signed his name
you want my
Romo, and I was like, no, that is, and then I got a couple other autographs, and a couple of years later, I'm like, Roma, that man, it sounds, because that's the only part I could read on his autograph is the Romo part. And I'm like, holy crap, I have something good here. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I still have that.
My parents went to a Rangers game one time when I was a kid, and they sat next to the visitors' dugout, and they played the Tampa Bay at the time the Devil Rays, and so they had like a little, I don't remember what a little packet that they were using. I guess one of the managers was using, but it just said Devil Rays. They had their game plan or whatever in it. They brought that back, and I kept that for. I don't have it anymore, but I kept that for years. Just like, I don't know what this is. It's something that somebody touched. So,
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
It wasn't autographed or anything.
that's cool. Well, speaking of sports and football, I had college football back yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Mean Green.
UNT, University of North Texas, played Houston Baptist. Is that correct?
Never heard of them.
The Huskies. The
Yukon
Baptist.
Huskies.
Houston Baptist Huskies.
I
Washington Huskies.
have extreme hate for anything Husky because I'm
And
an Oregon
Houston?
fan, and Houston's armpit of Texas. But
Yeah.
Armpit.
I hate anything Husky because of Washington. The only thing Husky about them is their women.
Well, UNT got the win over the Huskies. It was a 57-31 win. Played here in Denton at Apogee Stadium.
What, Tony? So Tony, you want to tell our listeners how you got that? What kind of under the table favor
They
you
just
did?
happened to take the name of my company.
Are you sure it's not trademarked? Like, maybe you should double check on that.
You didn't.
You can't trademark a word, the word Apogee that's in the Webster's Dictionary.
You didn't
You can't take that.
do any like knee work.
You can do it
Can
for
we
this.
get a stadium named after you?
No.
Tom Brady thinks
No.
you can. When Tom Brady tried to take
He tried to copyright it because he didn't want it, right?
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
What
then he
was
could
it?
just charge you. It was named after that Mets pitcher or Met player that just died. Terrific Tom or something like that. Terrible Tom. I don't know.
No, probably
So
not
he
terrible.
wanted to trademark it
so
and
you
then
couldn't
sell it.
use it. He didn't want them to use it.
Yeah, he'd charge you if you used it. Which
Good try.
It's a good business move.
he
Kinda.
tried, but it
Speaking of
didn't
that, do you think he's going to be awesome, or do you think he's going to be like, no offense, Peyton, with the Broncos, where he had to run in a touchdown because he couldn't throw it?
I think they're going to be pretty good. And then they signed Leonard Fournette, which I think he's still got some miles on him.
Yeah.
They have a lot more weapons than the Broncos did. Broncos just had a really good defense.
Well, I mean, they had the dude that had all that mom issues, 88.
Demarius Thomas.
Yeah, and then
Well, but you said
Emmanuel
that dude,
Sanders.
so that kind of.
Huh?
He wasn't that big. If you,
Oh,
you
no,
didn't
no,
remember.
I think he was, at the time, he was good.
Yeah.
And then Emmanuel
Speaking of which,
Sanders
he's
was
on the
good.
Texans, right? He's
Yeah,
he's
he
a
was,
weapon
yeah.
for.
Yeah,
I think
he's like a red zone
Sean
guy.
I mean, you have Mike Evans. I mean, that you got
Maybe
Gronk.
number 3 receiver in the NFL. I think he's going to be crazy good.
Yeah,
Are you saying that's the only reason Johnny Manziel was successful, Tony?
Yes.
Is it Mike Evans?
possibly.
Well, go
And
and
Swope.
look at some of his
Swope.
highlights.
Go look at Swope. It was a big target.
Goodwin's really good too.
Yeah, Goodwin is good. They've
Pretty
got a
solid,
solid
yeah.
team. I think they're going to be
Yeah,
successful.
I don't think Gronkowski's going to have to be
I think
that
they're,
good.
They're playing in a tough division, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Gronk,
they are.
Gronk's good. He just couldn't stay healthy.
But too
When
many. He lost a lot of weight too.
Yeah, and he got a year off, so
Is it just a year? I thought it was 2. It's just
it was
one.
just the 1 year.
Yeah.
He was on one of the Fox
We should have,
NFL Sundays or whatever.
We should have looked up the stats of people that were off a year and then how well they played.
Well, how they came back, yeah.
Yeah, we
He
should
might
have
come
done
back
some
pretty
research.
well. I mean, refreshed and in
Well,
shape.
I don't think
he
he's gonna have
cut a
to
lot of
be-
weight. and
Witten
then
did, and the first couple of games he caught a touchdown each in his first 2 games. I thought he was going to have a good year, but then he kind of trickled down.
Yeah, I feel so
I
bad
think
for
there's a
him.
big age difference there, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
Gronk is just not that
He's
old.
not old at
No.
all. I think he's only been in the league 9. maybe 10
Yeah,
years.
I mean, I think,
I don't think
and
he's-
when he
but
left,
he's
he
rough.
cut-
He plays rough.
but he cut a lot of
does.
weight, and now he's put some back, some good healthy weight on.
Might be
I mean, I
more
think
of a
he's going
finesse
to be.
player now.
I think he's going to be in the best shape he's ever been in.
Could be. Yeah, he looked really thin like the first time I saw him without pads. And it could just be because I just saw him without pads on, but he just looked really lean, I guess. Not thin. I shouldn't say that. But yeah, I think he'll be. I don't think he's going to be like the number one option for tight
No.
end. I think they'll probably do a lot of two tight end. That's what the NFL is kind of transitioning to now.
Gronk could play split out as
Yeah,
well when
for
he was
sure.
in New England,
For sure.
and they're going to spread the field,
Mhm.
and it's going to be
The
tough.
problem with Witten was he was just. I mean, he lost a ton of
he's-
speed.
Oh
he
yeah,
just looked old
he's just
out there.
unathletic.
Well, he didn't need to be.
Right.
I mean,
He's so-
he had one route: run
he's so
5 yards,
wide.
cut over, catch it, fall down.
Yeah.
On 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, that was great. That was perfect. But
I had a.
Yeah, when
Then-
it's
then they were
30,
throwing-
15, don't
yeah,
catch it
it's-
5 yards and then stop your feet when you make contact.
I mean,
That
to be
drove me
fair,
crazy
once he
with it.
caught it, I mean, I think there was one on a fade. He caught it, and then he was wide open, so he just ran it 5 more yards into the end zone. But to be fair, once he caught it, he couldn't really do anything with it.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's
He's never been like super athletic, anyways.
No.
But he'll catch it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
good hands,
solid.
and he's so
unless you
wide,
rip his
too.
helmet off, then he can run for.
And I have that picture in our living room actually, just a bloody Jason Witten just truck. There's like eagles sideways in the picture. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Fuck you, Philadelphia.
No, not the whole city, just the Eagles. Well, most of
yeah,
the
just
city,
the whole city. Yeah.
most of the city,
Most
but
of it.
definitely the Eagles fans.
So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I want to talk about my fantasy football draft before we start this.
Okay.
I have mine tonight.
I did something a little crazy. I drafted 2 quarterbacks.
What?
Yeah. Normally you wait until like you play fantasy football, right?
I mean, you have to draft 2 quarterbacks. One of them's gonna have a bye week.
I drafted them early. Like my third.
Don't tell me who when you drafted them. Who did you draft first?
Patty Mahomes.
Okay,
Like maybe my 3rd pick, maybe.
really? He
Yeah,
lasted that
early.
long.
So normally in my league, the quarterbacks don't go until like
and they shouldn't.
5th round,
but
right.
somebody always just panics and say,
somebody-
"Okay, this is gonna be my last pick for nearly 2 rounds." I mean, you're gonna go if you do snake.
So somehow we do snakes. I'm always last in the draft somehow. Like I'm like very close to last. So we do the snake. So I have a pick and
you have
then
2 picks,
yeah. So I did Patty Mahomes, and then for some reason Woodson did the draft clock's only like 30 seconds, which was not long enough. Like I got red every
Yeah.
single time, and I was still trying to pick my person, and then auto picked for me,
And it was a quarterback.
and it was a quarterback, Watson. So
It's not a bad move.
Normally,
No.
I don't draft a quarterback. I'll just say I'll find somebody who's on the bench because somebody will stand out.
I did that one year, and I just like as long as they didn't kill me, I figured I'd be fine. But I just like from week to week, I was just dropping quarterbacks and bringing like other ones in, and just like I think I had Kirk Cousins a couple times. It's just
Yeah.
and it was every one of his good games.
Yeah, usually I just wait. Okay, once it's his bye week, I'll just pick up whoever's the best. I do that with defenses a lot. If I can get a good defense, great. But most of the time, I do it based on matchup. But sometimes unless you can get a really good quarterback late, like you've already picked all your starters, and like, well, I got to draft him. He's just sitting there. You could trade him or whatever. I usually will just draft one.
Also took a risk on Le'Veon Bell.
I think that's pretty good, man. He
He's
puts
gonna
up good
have
points.
a good year this year. He didn't do great last year, but I think he's gonna do good this year.
As long as he doesn't have any off the field stuff, and
I think it'll be fine.
gets
I always like to
suspended or-
go running back heavy. There's tons of
I've done
receivers
that
in the
every
league. You can do
year
that.
prior.
Because running
Quarterback.
backs don't have to have great games to.
No.
I feel like if they're
To get a
pass
lot of
catching ones
points.
as well, they do well.
Yeah, because especially down the red zone, they're more likely to catch a
Yeah.
touchdown.
So I got Bell.
And then
But-
defenses, I just get week to week. I just pick one up.
I got the
Defenses are tough to go unless it's just like the number 1 or 2 ranked defense, and they're
I
just.
mean, even then, if it's like a number 1 defense against
yeah, it
the
depends on who
Chiefs,
they're playing. Yeah,
and then
that's
you
how
have
I
a
usually.
decent defense playing,
That's how I usually look at it. Is matchup based
Yeah.
week to week, and just
that's
pick
like
the
a
best
kicker.
option.
I mean, I just
yeah.
pick a kicker because I have to, and
Yeah.
which sometimes they're
Sometimes they
significant.
do,
They'll get
yeah.
10, but it's kind of like you don't draft a backup; you just drop some guy to.
Yeah.
I can't think of
him
his
up.
name. What's the Ravens kicker? Tucker.
Oh yeah, Justin
He
Tucker.
gets you a lot of points. I had him the other.
But sometimes it depends because a lot of their points, if they're on a team with a good offense, I mean, they're getting points
Just only
for
extra
yeah.
points, not the field goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they miss a field goal, they get. That was my problem. I had Maher, and he'd get you some points, but then he'd miss extra points and you'd lose points.
Who's our kicker now? Do we know?
What's his name? I can't. I feel so ashamed.
How dare you?
We've had like 4 kickers in the
Right.
last 3 years.
Not as bad as the Bears, but
No.
What's his name? Well, we'll just move on. You'll remind me in a second. But yeah, you have to go with running back heavy. That's like at least my first 3 rounds are running back, unless you have Patrick. If Patrick Mahomes lasts the 3rd round and I can pick him up, I'm gonna get him, because I doubt that, because our league this year is gonna have 14 teams. I've never played in a
Wow.
league that big, so it's gonna be real watered down. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to do research on a lot of players, but I feel like when in doubt, just grab a running back.
Oh,
Just
so-
because that's just trade
Yeah.
bait. You can just have Wall throw in another running back
Yeah.
if you're close on a deal.
The Cowboys kicker this year's Kai Forbath.
no.
No,
Right.
that was last year.
No.
Well, he started this year.
Oh,
He
shit.
lost.
Then I don't know.
It was
It's
Forbath.
the LA kicker. I'm not gonna even try to say his last name.
The leg. That's his nickname.
Oh, Greg Zerline?
Zerline.
That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
Zerline.
Supposed to be the-
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Zerline. That's right.
I guess I didn't know that they picked him up.
Yeah, they picked him. Man, they switched to Forbath last year.
yeah. He used to play for the Vikings, right?
Forbath.
Yeah.
Mhm.
pretty sure.
The Patriots,
He played
Vikings.
for the
yeah.
Vikings, yeah.
Okay.
And Bailey. I guess we got rid of him at the right time, because he just.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Is he still in the league? Is he still on the Vikings?
I don't know.
Who
Yeah, I
knows?
just know he
He
was
had a
doing
rough
that.
year with the Vikings last year.
Yeah. But could be worse. Could be the Bears kicker. The one of like.
Do they still
15
have him?
I don't think they have a kicker. Just use your punter, I guess. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Just
I
Trubisky
remember when
might
we had
start
to use
again,
Beasley?
No, the white.
No,
safety.
not
Safety.
Beasley. Yeah, the
why? I'm having a hard
undrafted
time
free
with-
agent. Because we're recording, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's a recording, which our brain just goes to mush.
yeah.
Jeff Heath.
Jeff Heath,
That's
That's
yeah.
it, yeah.
He's about the
actually
same
hit
size as
extra points
Beasley.
too.
Yeah.
Did
He
good.
pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you were confused about our little intro at the beginning with Gary V talking about ego versus confidence, that's what our show's about. We're just kind of talking
Yeah,
about
a little
football.
small
Right? Football's
talk, yeah.
starting, coming back, and who cares
Yeah,
about
going through football season,
bas-
we probably will have more conversations. And
Yeah, basketball and hockey and all that's great when you haven't had sports in 6 months.
I
But
feel like playoff hockey and playoff basketball are my favorites.
stars are
yeah,
Dude, yeah.
stars.
and
who are
hockey
we
and
playing?
basketball's just kind of gone away because, or not gone away, but it's just didn't gain my interest because part of it is the fans. Just being like, I think the
It is
Mavericks are
weird.
completely robbed when Luka hit that shot, and
Yeah,
you don't have the clip of it happening in American Airlines Center, just everybody going nuts.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, just
but
different.
yeah, football's. I don't care if they have fans or not. Football's football.
I just wonder how they're gonna pump stadium noise in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came out with some.
Is there like a rule? Because I think the Cowboys.
Yeah,
should
well, they
just
came out like
so
it
blow
was
up.
saying how many decibels they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have an
Real
NFL
detailed.
exec there with a meter,
Hmm.
and they'll be penalized if they go over or fined or
I
something
would just
if
say
they go over
screw
a
it,
certain
just
level.
do it. Just let them,
Yeah,
everybody.
whoever had.
If there's no rules, then nobody can break the rules. Just, but there's probably a lot of issues there.
Yeah.
So let's segue into it.
So, you said confidence
Versus ego.
versus ego.
And this is kind of a tough one because
It is.
a lot of people get ego confused with confidence or confidence
there-
confused with ego.
I think there is a misconception between the two. When you think about it on the surface, it does seem to
kind
be
of
the
one and the
same,
same. Yeah.
right? Like
You could misuse both. Be overconfident.
you could.
So let me ask the question: do you think if you have high confidence, you also have an ego?
I don't think so.
Or if you have an ego, do you think you have low confidence? I think that's where we're going to kind of get into a little bit.
That's my viewpoint on it. Is having an ego is insecurity with lipstick on it, right?
Mhm.
It's you're insecure about it. It's almost false hope or false. You're building something there to build an ego because you don't have the confidence.
And to me, they don't really have to be related. I mean, there's a byproduct that, like you said, it's false confidence or insecurity. But
Yeah,
just to have an ego doesn't. I mean, you don't have to. It's subconscious. You're not just sitting there thinking, stroking your ego, but it just affects everything. Like just in a business context, you screw something up, supposed to own that.
Yeah.
And you would admit it, and a lot of times it helps you out, whether keeping a customer or whatever it is, but sometimes your ego doesn't let you do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though you're beating yourself up, you're like, I can't. It's like this entity that you're trying to protect. It's you.
It's self. It's all self.
Yeah, it's yourself, and it's an image, and maybe you shouldn't have those two mix, your ego and your image. Of course, you have to keep your image up, but it's your image to yourself. Like Tyler has his image of me, and mine's of myself is completely different. And I think that's what your ego kind of is.
And I think I could hold you in a pretty high standards here.
Well, see, I told you I hold myself very low standards.
Yeah, I think that's where the
low,
fake.
it's easy to meet.
Excuse me. That's where the fake comes in, of building your ego, because when you've accomplished and you've made and you've done and you have the confidence that you can achieve whatever goal that you're set to do, if you don't have that confidence, you build yourself up with an ego, a false hope, a false knowledge, and then you're always having to build that ego and you're having to justify that.
Yeah.
Versus just being confident and knowing, hey, I can do,
well, it's like
you're running your business. I have confidence that I'm going to be successful in business. Well, you could build yourself up with a business and all these great ideas and this, and look what I've done. But what have you done? Maybe you haven't done anything, and that's just your ego talking, telling you that you've been successful or that you've done something when you really haven't.
Yeah, it's like fake it till you make it, which I'm a fan of. I mean, just jump out there and do it, learn as you go.
Yeah.
But you have to have confidence. Don't fake your confidence until you actually have confidence. So you have to have that up front. And it's like fake it till you make it, but keep it in perspective. Like we started this podcast, we weren't pretending like we were this huge deal and had millions and millions of followers. We're just going to start it. We're just going to go with it.
Or football stadium named after us.
Or even that we had all of the business knowledge to help anybody. We don't fake, or we don't tell anyone that we know it all. We're going to give you our perspective, and we're going to help you with what we know. But what we can provide is
a stepping stone.
The stepping stone and the confidence that we're going to find the answers, and we're going to learn along the way as well.
And there was definitely a lot more research at the beginning of this, whether it was confidence or not having the knowledge that we may or may not have now. But now there's a lot less research involved because we kind of know what we're doing.
Yeah.
To an extent, it's not to stroke our own ego, just have confidence.
No, I mean, we're confident that we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm also confident that we don't know half of it still. And that we're going to continue on a daily basis. We're going to continue to learn. And the more businesses that we talk to, we're going to learn more about their business and find ways to help them out. And that helps to build our own confidence in it. Where with an ego, we're going to go out and just be like, no, this is the way. We know everything, and this is what you need to do. That's my opinion. That's how I feel.
So what do you think about, like, if you're working with somebody, like, side by side, if someone you work with has a lot of confidence, is it easier to work with them? Does that take a shot at your own ego? Especially if you're doing this, like, if there was somebody that was, if you need help rapping or something, and let's say Ashton owns another rapping company, he might say he's been doing it longer. He might be better than you, or might know tricks that you don't know. So, once you get started, he starts doing all the stuff that you normally do. Or he might be, or you automatically know, like, wow, this guy's really good at his job.
Or do it differently.
Does it take a shot at your personal ego, or do you think this guy has a big ego because he's, you can just tell he's been doing it longer, he's a little bit better than you, maybe?
Is it more intimidating?
Does that affect you? Would it affect you?
Personally, no. And you guys know my stance on business. Like, I don't see myself having any competitors. Like, I'm in my own lane. Everyone has their own lane, right? And it doesn't matter if the guy next to me does the exact same stuff that I do. He's not my competitor. We may be in the same industry, but I don't feel like we necessarily have to compete. I offer what I offer. I offer a certain standard, a certain product, a certain way that I go about selling it or doing it. And they have their own way. So, my opinion is I see that in all industries. The word competition is tough. Like,
Burger King, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, they're all very successful. There's room for
in
it.
theory, they're competitors, right?
Yeah.
But you have your favorite that you go to because of whatever it is, the convenience,
but I
the
still
speed,
go to
the
all
price.
of them too.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
but,
we'll go to
McDonald's does
Chick-fil-A
have the
more.
best.
and as much as
Coca-Cola.
their competitors, I mean, realistically, do you think McDonald's gives a shit what Burger King's doing or what Sonic's doing or what Chick-fil-A's like? Everyone has their own niche,
Yeah.
right? And you have a certain customer base. Like, I'm not the designer or printer for everybody. And honestly, I mean, you know this. That's the first things I try to find out before I ever quote anything, before I do any. I try to find out, am I your solution? Do I provide what you need? Is that your problem? Do you know, is having something designed or printed a problem, and do you even need me? Or do you need something else? That's my number one in my business. So that's why I say that I don't have any competitors, because a lot of times I send customers to my competitors, if you want to
Or
say.
sometimes you just people's personalities don't mix. You know,
Yeah.
I have customers honestly that I sell to that if they told me they weren't going to do business with me anymore, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just not worth it. I don't like dealing
Yeah.
with you.
Not to get too far off what you asked, though, the topic. I think that if you have insecurities about another company like that, another business owner, and you try to build up those false hopes or build up your own, oh, I'm as good as them or I'm better, like that could be building up your ego, and that could get you in a lot of trouble. Because you could go out on a limb and take on a job or a project that you have no business doing because you've built up this ego in your head that, oh, I can do this. That's no big deal. When in reality, it's an ego telling you that, but you don't have the confidence to really perform that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in that
think
sense, if
that's-
you get a little intimidated and you start maybe in your head not thinking about it, you're making them your competition.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's a big project that like, hey, it's between you and this guy. And you're like, oh, no, I need to get this because I'm competing with him.
You know, for me, early on in my career, because I didn't know and I've learned through a lot of research and trial and error, I mean, I would try to go around and call and I would try to get pricing from other companies and it really did. So then I'm always, I got to compete with their price. I either have to be cheaper, I have to provide. And now I just provide what I provide and I've come up with what I have to make on it, what my costs are and my markups and the margins I'm going to have. And that's just what I charge. And it's kind of a take it or leave it. You know, I don't go and try to compete with someone else because I'm confident that I'm going to be successful regardless of if you come to me and have me design a logo, help you put together a marketing package, help you, print all of the products that we've designed and put together. Like, for me, if you don't, it's kind of like next man up. And I don't want it to sound arrogant or cocky, but if I spend all the time dwelling on, I got to compete, I got to get this work in, then I'm going to be cutting something. I'm either going to be trying to cut cost, which in turn cuts money out of my pocket, which then I'm rushed to do the job because I feel like I got to do double the work now to make the money I want to make. So then you get half-assed products. So that's my opinion. I mean, that's...
So have you guys ever had like a situation where you had to work with somebody that had a large ego and like how difficult it is? I know I have a couple stories of work where we worked with a guy that knew everything, but it was just his ego. He didn't actually know anything, or not know as much as he let on to.
We had a customer we were selling building materials to, and we did a couple houses with them, and there was a lot of screw ups on our part, and he kind of stopped doing business with us, which I figured, and because of there's a screw up where he mailed a check and we hadn't gotten it, but our company didn't communicate the right way to let him know, so we were filing liens on all of his properties, like properties we didn't even supply. And obviously he was pissed off. He was kind of one of the guys, like, you see him call, you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with him. He's sitting there kind of like you think he's cussing you out, but that's just how he talks. He's just pissed off and he just cusses all the time.
He's not angry, he's passionate.
He was definitely angry. He always sounds like he's angry. I just like, man, you need a drink or something. But anyways, okay, so I'm going like, okay, I'll pick up the check. There's a lot more backstory I'm not going to get into, but I'm going to pick up the check. We figured out everything's good. This is how much he owes. He sent the check. I said, cancel the other check. I'll just go pick it up personally. And so he's sitting there. When I get there, okay, well, I'm not just going to hand you the check. I'm going to, hopefully he's not listening, but I guess I'm not doing business anymore, so who cares? But he's like, I got to call the lawyer that called me, and I'm going to, and I stood there for an hour and a half waiting. It was definitely his ego driving this.
Right.
Because he didn't need to be that. Like, it obviously wasn't my fault. It was my account. I was taking responsibility. I had apologized profusely. Part of it was we had which he was emailing our credit guy, our lawyers, everyone. I wasn't even involved in this part, but he was talking about that somebody had promised him an apology letter. Said, "Do you have the apology letter for me?" I know nothing about that. And, anyways, it's just kind of like, okay, dude, I understand. This isn't.
Like, I didn't do it.
I didn't personally do this.
Right.
I'm just trying to resolve this. I'm getting the check from you, and I kept promising everything's going to be good, which I get. He had trust issues now with our company.
Sure.
But you could tell just the way he was dealing with. He's like, okay, you fucked me over, so I'm going to make it as hard as possible on you. Like, I know he's not going to do business with us anymore. Right. He's not, like, maybe little things because he has credit with us, but he's not going to give me any more houses.
Right.
So in that case, you could tell his ego was definitely,
stoking the flames.
Yeah, making it worse than it had to be.
Yeah, so, like, before I started doing electrical at work, I was just doing, like, end of quality type of thing. So I got to the point where, like, I knew I was the man. Like, everybody came and, like, no one said hi to me, and I've talked about this before. And the guy that I worked across from, Freddie, very confident guy, just because in the line you have to be, right? And sometimes he doesn't mesh well with people. Like, if someone gets in his way, like, he's just in that work mode to where, like, he's like, hey, get out of the way, And some people take it as, like, he might have a huge ego. But really for him, and I think this is, like, the show topic, is it's not his ego. The problem is he is so self-confident that he knows that he's going to get things done. He's going to do things. So I kind of learned from him a little bit. Like, you have to have that confidence to, like, keep pushing through, because we had to deal with so much crap all the time. And there's never a lot of help. You're kind of just, like, on your own island, like Revis Island, basically. And when I moved jobs, I went from being the man to nothing. Like, I couldn't do anything. I didn't know how to fix nothing. So it was one of those things where I had to take a step back. And, being the man is cool, and everybody wants to be the man, but it's like a lot of stress was off of me all of a sudden. It was, my ego definitely took a shot, because, like, all of a sudden I couldn't do anything. I couldn't help. I was losing trucks just because I didn't know how to do stuff. And the guy that actually knew everything would be busy. He's having to do 2 trucks while I do 1. And it's one of those things where, like, I wasn't used to it. It wasn't like that first couple of weeks, I was unhappy because I couldn't do anything. So I had to really reset my way of thinking. Like, it was I guess I was doing too ego-based and not enough confidence. And then I had to rebuild my confidence. So I couldn't let my ego get in the way of me stopping and having to ask for help. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do, especially if you're a really confident person like I am. It's difficult.
I think that's where a lot of misconception comes in with ego. Like you said, that people were saying, oh, he's got a big ego, and they misinterpreted that for confidence. And I think that's a big issue. And I don't know that ego or confidence is something somebody from the outside can really judge.
I think
it's more of an internal thing. Like,
I feel like
you have to be able to separate from yourself whether you have a big ego or if you're just confident.
I feel it's a slippery slope. I think you definitely get them confused.
It's either confidence or cockiness.
I feel like
arrogance.
Sometimes too, from the outside looking in, that you might interpret it as being he has a huge ego, and I think that's just natural. I think everybody does that too. That if you see someone really confident, be like, oh, but like, he's probably a douche, just because But I think that's just, you might see their ego, but not get a chance to see all their confidence too.
Well, I think it depends on whether you care. Sounds bad. What people think, or if you're more self-aware. Because I'll have emails and I'll ask, hey, does this sound too cocky or arrogant? So some people just don't care, and that's okay. That's good for you that you don't care. I care what people think of me, but if you're just confident, very confident.
No, you're right. So that
you just
could
don't
be
care
where
how it comes across.
Confidence kind of almost has 2 roads to it.
For sure.
Where, like you said, that you are aware, but you still want to please people, and then there's some people that are confident that don't want to please people. They don't care what you think. They come off as a douche or cocky, and I think that's where other people be like, man, look at this guy, man. He's got such a big ego.
But then some people are
or
really
he could
like
be-
that, though.
Yeah,
They're
no,
like,
there are. No,
you talk to
exactly.
somebody and they're telling a story, you're like, and you're a very friendly person, so you're not going to call them out
Right.
away. You're just like, okay, yeah,
and
I know you're lying, but okay.
Yeah.
Maybe stoking your ego yourself is a way to help build your own confidence. I think that's also a tool to use too. Like sometimes you need a little bit of an ego to give your, like we were talking about earlier before we started the show, talking about like in the locker room, like before a football game or something like that. Everybody's boosting their own ego.
Yeah.
You know, just try
Yeah,
to
it doesn't matter if the team's
get
twice
your-
as good as you, and you know you're going to lose 40-0 or whatever, but you're just like, yeah, we're going to go out there,
you know, you got to get yourself almost like pumped up almost.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like, I don't know. I feel like if you have a lot of confidence, you do have an ego. It's managing them. Managing.
Yeah,
your-
maybe like stroking your ego is good for the short term. Like, let's just get
like
this
I know,
done, and then long term, it's
I get
better
that way
just-
too. Like I have to, you know, if someone comes and asks me about something now, like I have to make sure I have enough ego that they can see that they're like, do I need to go get somebody? I'm like, no, I got it, you know. So I think that's,
But
building your ego
Yeah.
helps your confidence. I feel like,
and it
sometimes.
does look bad when you're.
I think
when
that the
you
only
have to make
time
yourself
that
look
you're right with
overconfident.
that, the only time that gets scary is when you build your ego to a point that you can't perform,
Right,
but you're acting like you can.
right.
Then there's that.
But when
falsehood
you know
that-
you can do it,
that you can't.
you're-
But then, so
it's
then that's where
questionable.
you
You're
can,
like trying to figure
at
it
that
out.
point,
but
though,
you don't
if
want
you
it to
know
look
you
bad.
can do it, you've built the confidence. Then you can toss the ego aside. You don't need that ego. You're just a confident person that.
Like we'll figure out a way.
You're right that it is a slippery slope. It depends on the context you use it in. But
This is a hard one.
it is a hard one.
Yeah, it's
I feel like with confidence it helps because when you have that confidence, it allows you to help build up other people. Like within your company, I'm sure you see it a lot that the real confident people are willing to help and build you up and help you learn and get to their level to help push them up, right? Where someone with an ego is
that's
going to
the
try to
complete
hold you.
opposite of how my work works. Actually,
Well, but you've seen these scenarios.
That's how it
but
should work.
there's
but
very few people that.
so
actually
then
do
you've
that.
seen all the egos that are going to hold everyone down so that they don't have to work so hard. Even though they act like they have the confidence, it's really an ego and they're going to hold everybody else down. I deal with it on a daily basis. I'm sure you've dealt with it. And that's the difference in an ego and confidence. That's how you divide the two is, are you willing to help someone, teach them what you know
Right.
to help build them up? Are you going to build people up or are you going to break people down?
Or it's watching somebody that you know that, or you perceive to have a large ego, learn something new. That's one of my. I used to love to watch Fred learn something new or figure something out. That's how I knew it wasn't an ego thing for him. It was a confidence thing. For me, I have a hunter that will, if I let him, he would follow me around the whole plant. He just wants to be in my same spot, like do the same kind of stuff I do. And I had to tell him, you got to check your ego, but you also have to be competent. You have to, if someone comes and tells you, hey, you know, we need this done, even if you don't know how to do it, figure it out. Cause like, I'll get you on the back side. Like I got your back on this side. Just like say you can. Start saying you can. Never, oh, I haven't been trained. Like that's not a good excuse anymore. Like you're here. Keep pushing forward.
I think a confident person also though could say, I can do that. Can you show me? Can you
Absolutely.
Like,
That's what I
that's
was gonna
super
say.
confidence. It's the
Absolutely.
person
You
that's
have
like,
to-
oh, okay, yeah, I
Ego
got it. Don't
won't-
worry. An ego, you're like, then you're fucked, right? You bit off more than you could chew.
Well, if you have a big ego, going back to the insecurity, maybe you don't ask for help.
yeah.
You could be confident. I know how to do this, but I'm
I've
new
never
at it
done
or
this
whatever.
before, or
Maybe,
but I can't. I know I can do it. Just
ask,
show me.
Yeah, I ask them a question. As with your ego, you're saying, I can't ask him that. I'm going to look like an idiot.
Right.
I can't. And then you have to have confidence in yourself. That's okay to ask for questions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rather than having a big ego and being insecure about it,
Yep.
and I can just figure this out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's I think that's the big kicker though. That's the big difference is your willingness to set your ego aside, and that will help build yourself up. Because, like for me, in my instance, I have to ask for help every day. It'd be stuff that I did yesterday that I get it today, and I'm like, I completely forgot what I did before, or I need Bell out. And luckily, the guy I work with, confidence is through the roof. He can do anything, but like his whole life, he's been fixing stuff. So like I'm not a very handy person. I mean, you know me personally, so having like working on a car, I'm not car savvy at all. that's what I do every day. But so most people think I'm a mechanic or can do a bunch of stuff. But if I can't do it, I know he can. So
you're real specific on your skills, what you can work on.
I think I have I have a big range, so I can do things. I just maybe not. I'm definitely not as good as Brett, but I have him as a backup. So he's like my safety blanket almost. So if you come to me, I got you. Like, you don't have to worry about it. Like, I take all the worry away. I'll take it, and then if I can't handle it, I know for a fact Brett can, or we'll figure it out together, type of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the big difference between having a lot of confidence, which is good, but also having some ego, because that will help you. But it is a slippery slope.
Well, sometimes, like, I deal directly with customers, so you want to appear like you know what you're doing. But at the same time, they ask you a question, you don't want to BS them. Like I'll never say, I just don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll say, well, let me find out for you or whatever. Yeah. Rather than BSing them, trying to, like, yeah, I know, and then behind the scenes go ask somebody or whatever. But it's okay to be confident and let the customer know, I got you. I may have to figure this out or this out, but I got you. Don't worry. But I don't know that. I'm going to go find out for you or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly how I do things at work. So
it's like ego kind of is the opposite of confidence, but not really. But
it's like I
think it really is. I think if you really look at it, it really is the opposite. When you look at building, you're either building or you're breaking down somebody else for your own gain. Look at how people celebrate their successes. You talked about you love to see someone with confidence win. You love to see them learn something new. Mm-hmm. You see the true happiness in them. Mm-hmm. But you don't see the boastfulness,
right? Like you
do when you see people boasting about what they've done and posting, "Oh, I've won this project, I've done this, I've done that." That's an ego that they're having to feed inside them.
Or
they
athletes. Athletes, you see it, so you're like, man, I don't want that team to win just because that guy's.
And you know, arrogant. Sometimes though, I don't mean to play devil's advocate here, but sometimes I feel like that could also be a reward. Like if you work for something for so long, and then you want to celebrate it. I feel like that's okay too, to an extent. I do like Antonio Brown, right? Bryant, Steelers receiver.
Brown.
Man, my brain is
Brown.
He gets on my nerves. Like he's just like that's all ego filled. Mm-hmm. There's no. I mean, I'm sure he's 100% self confident in himself, but I think that's how. If you have too much self confidence, maybe that also fuels your ego. Like. I guarantee you can't teach him anything.
You can have confidence and be humble at the same time.
Right.
No, you can't. You can't teach him, and I think that's where the difference in being a confident person or being an ego, and where they are so separate, is that someone with an ego, you're not going to teach them anything.
Right.
They feel like they know it all, or they're going to, they. I don't know, man. It's.
No, I got you. A long time ago, I used to work at a landscape company. I drove around, we mowed yards, did all that good stuff. And it was kind of in the middle of the recession. So there was a guy put on my crew that had an engineering degree. And he didn't want to listen to me because I was 22 at the time. Like, I'm just this kid that I drive a landscape truck for a living. And, like, okay, first of all, you should take a look at yourself. But he's like, I have an engineering degree. Why? I mean, he didn't say that. But you could tell he just didn't want to leave. He'd be like, yeah, okay. Like, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. I mean, it's not hard to mow lawns, but I mean, once you get in the nitty gritty of it, edging and trimming, and not everybody could do it. It's some people just suck at it.
Yeah, don't come look at my yard.
Yeah. Right. So I have somebody that mows my yard.
He may not have said, "Hey, I have an engineering degree," but how many times have we heard people like that that'll go out and tell you what they've done?
Yeah, he told me, man, I was making $150,000 a year.
That's building
grass.
Exactly. Making
that's
$12 an hour.
That's an
grass.
ego. That's ego based. There's no confidence in that. That's all ego based, and we see that a lot. Where somebody's gonna tell you everything that they do. They're gonna tell you every accomplishment they've had. They're gonna go, like I said, they go on social media and just like it's okay to be like, man, I'm really proud. Like I'm excited that I've done this. Not just like. That boastful. I mean, that's really those two. Like boastful is a good description of an ego.
Being too boastful.
It's really going out there and really just, hey, look what I did. Look at me. Everyone, look at me. Look what I did.
Right.
Yeah. And social media.
That's ego. If you're confident, you don't have to go tell anybody. It's
right.
Like if you're a true confident person, you don't have to go tell anyone anything. You know what you've done. You have the confidence. Right. People are going to see what you've done.
Right.
And social media in general is real good at stroking your ego, and I guess
I think that's why it's
killing your ego. At
this
the
has
same
become
time,
such a problem.
outside of business, when you just post something random about the Cowboys or whatever, you're hoping a bunch of people like it and share it and comment, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's how we're built. It's natural for us to want our egos to get,
stoked.
to stoked, whatever.
But social media is really, that's where they've done a bad job at building egos, because now everyone feels like they have to post. You only see, who posts bad shit on social media?
Yeah,
really?
You see
Personally,
vacation pics, you're like, man, I would like to go there.
Nobody says, hey, I just lost my fucking job, man. My life sucks.
Well,
things are listen, hear me out. No, you don't see the negative side. You don't see people saying, this sucks. I lost my job. I can't make my house payment now. I need to give my truck back. I got to go get me an old beater cash car. Nobody says that. Nobody has the confidence.
Unless there's a lot of drama involved. But that's stroking your ego as well.
What I'm talking about is that nobody, like someone for me, if I were to lose my job and I've got to go give my truck away, I got to go get rid of it and I got to go get a cheap cash car because I need that extra cash to make my bills. You're not going to see somebody go and post, hey, look what I did today.
It's kind of
I got rid of a $50,000 truck and went and got a $5,000 cash car so that I can feed my family because I lost my job, but I'm not going to go cry and get on unemployment. I'm going to make changes in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Who fucking has done that? Really? Find one person, because I've never seen anybody on, and I follow a lot of people. I'm friends with a lot of people.
That's fine. But there's nothing on my Facebook that's really negative. I post.
But that's what I'm
stuff.
saying is that
it's just knowing that that's what people are posting.
But that's where social media really hurts this ego and confidence thing, because people don't have the confidence just to ball up and say, hey, this is the situation.
Well,
you know what I mean? They'll hide from it, and then as soon as they go get a new car, they go get a new house, they go get a new anything. Hey, look what I got! Look what I got! Oh man, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed that I went and got $100,000 in debt. I'm so blessed. Like
there is
really,
people there are people that will say something about I'm done with him, never fucking talking to him again. He beat me or this or whatever, and then 24 hours later the post is deleted and there's a picture with him and their kids and they're all happy. But that's still ego driven because it's drama.
I think that's different from the point I'm trying to make.
You're just saying
that everyone will go post when they get a new car. They'll go post when their husband, wife, significant other buys them a new car, or buys them furniture, or buys them a new ring, or buys them, all of that.
My wife needs to step up. She's never done any of that for me.
But you'll never post, or when, like you said, when you get to go on a vacation, oh, we'll post this. Oh, we're so blessed. This is what we got to do. You know what? Sometimes losing your job and having to get rid of a $50,000 vehicle and go down to a cash car is a blessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
like, I want to see somebody post that.
I mean, I post a lot of that because I know you're going to get the memories on Facebook, and I like seeing memories on Facebook, so I make sure to post whatever when we're on vacation, just because we go to Galveston about the same time every year, and so it's fun, when it's coming up, and then I see 5 years ago, 8 years ago, the week leading up to it. I like it. It's fun.
I don't think it's a negative thing to post like your successes on Facebook. I don't think going on vacation is necessarily
just understand that's what people are posting. Yeah.
This is what I'm getting though, is that social media really isn't even social media. It's positive media.
Yeah.
If it's positive, if something good in my life happens, I'm going to post it.
Yeah.
If something bad's going on, I'm not.
But sometimes that hurts you. You may have your ego may be perfectly fine. You're confident. You're doing great, and you're, you know where you're at. You're, maybe middle class or whatever, wherever you're at. You're doing good. You're happy with your life. But then you see your friend from high school who, probably makes more money and has a really good job, and they're going to Hawaii or whatever, then you kind of like, it hurts you.
That's an ego.
And that's what you need, and
but
that's what you need to understand. You need to see that and be like, oh man, I'm glad for him. He got to go to Hawaii. He's been talking about it. Makes double. That's okay. That's
I misunderstood what you said. If you see it and you're like, man, I wish I could do that, man.
That's what I'm saying. Your point was you need to be able to see that and understand. They're just posting. Yeah, he may be going. Exactly. He may have a shit marriage, which that's not something you should hope. Like, man, he's going to lie, but I hope he has a crappy life.
Unless you don't like him, then you do hope that.
Well, maybe. Okay. But there are a lot of people. I mean, you see that, and then you're like, why is she not posting pictures? She's posting pictures with another guy, and then you click on their Facebook.
Well, I think what you're talking about,
apparently they broke up or something.
It's almost a different thing. I mean, it's like when people would post, "Pray for me," but I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's just
That's
those are
drama
kind
filled
of-
stuff.
yeah,
that's the negative drama filled
If you're
stuff.
not, and then people say, "What are you talking about?" Oh,
Yeah, I'm talking
Message
about
me,
somebody
I'll
going
get it.
out and truly just being honest with people. Just, I mean, look, I'm not saying I do it. I don't. I mean, we're all this way, but because it doesn't go across very well on social media. I mean, that's an area of my life that I don't have the confidence to post when shit's going bad. To be like, man, you know what? I came up short on my bills this month, so you know.
And we're also not saying like
You know what I mean?
If
Honestly,
you do have
there-
that, you don't have.
there
to
is one person.
No, I'm
that,
not saying that, but
that
I'm
has done
saying that.
But
When you
it's-
only see the things people post, I want to specifically talk about one person, but I can't do it. I can't call anyone out.
So it's like
But for someone that the only time they ever post anything is, oh my God, look at
I've
me.
seen-
Oh my God, look at me.
I
Oh my
have
God,
seen
look what
one
I've
person
done. You know
who
what I mean?
Actually does, but it's very humbling. You just look at that person like, man, that you're because they went through a lot and they didn't talk about it a lot, but you could tell like you're like, huh, something's with that. And then you
Well,
could
and
read
I-
comments and like they were thinking about suicide, but they weren't posting things about that. And anyways, they were in rehab and all this, but they would post, hey, just letting everyone know I got that job at McDonald's today. Like
See,
he's put,
that's the
and
kind
it's
of
just
stuff.
like, man, I
Would
wish
the
I
normal
could,
person
I was
post
confident in
that?
myself that I could just post something like that.
Yeah,
I
would
think
a
that's-
normal
that's
person be like that?
spot in his life, maybe, you know, kind of rock bottom, and comes up and he's like, hey, like, look what I've done, like,
But
improving.
he's very
you know?
humble. and
But
that-
he's
that's what-
humbled
yeah.
and he has the confidence that it doesn't matter. Like he really truly does. That's a completely different situation to say than the person I'm talking about that hasn't done
No,
shit
yeah, but
for
I'm
their
saying
company
that's
to
exactly
win.
what it
win,
does.
but then one project is won, and then they're going out like, "Oh, look what I did," and then all the people behind them in their company are like, "What do you mean? Look what you did? Look what happened!" Like
Yeah, have a little, yeah.
that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like you either build people up or you break them down.
Mm-hmm.
If you use people and then you take the success that they help you gain, and then you go and put yourself up on a pedestal. That's the ego that
And you're betting on
that you're
other
leaving.
people not having that same ego and
Yes.
calling you out on it.
Yeah.
Because even though it's right to call somebody out on that, it's like, well, I'm kind of.
Not always is it socially
If I
acceptable.
do that,
No,
I'm
you're
just
right.
saying I'm just like him.
But for me personally, I wouldn't call anybody out because I'm a confident person to know, hey, I know how,
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I do.
matter. Like, I know how that stuff works. I know that you left your whole team behind you
Mm-hmm.
and you're the one, it's kind of like we can turn this back to sports when you see somebody like Antonio Brown or, I mean, I don't know, any of the big, big-headed, arrogant athletes. T.O. Like, they go and they score, and it's like, oh, yeah, look at me. Look what I did. Okay, well, your fucking quarterback got it. If the line didn't block, the
Right,
quarterback didn't
right,
get the
right.
ball. There's a whole team, so you're not confident in that you're really that good. You're just boastful every time that you have a success, and you want to show everybody, but you didn't show everybody. You don't talk about all the fucking drops you had.
Right.
The misrun routes you had. That's what it is. You're
Yeah, because it drives you
filtering.
nuts when you try to put that mask on.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'll just do it the right way. So people, then they're not doing it the right way. There's an article saying, no, in the case of football, a football game or something, if he, scores the winning touchdown and maybe he's reading an article and said, okay, thanks to this block, and like, it's kind of taking away. And some people try to, like I said, try to hold back and put that mask on and be like, which isn't really, it's just hiding your ego. It's because you're not really humble about it. But then you're just waiting for everyone, because players like Jason Witten and people who do it the right way, and everybody kind of talks about how they're great, and they never boast or do anything like that. That's what they're trying to get at. They're like, okay, I want everyone to do the boasting for me and say I'm this great guy, but then they're on social media all the time, and like Kevin Durant.
There's definitely
Kevin Durant should delete every social media because he can't handle it.
Yeah.
Even his burner accounts, because he apparently handles those too. You should be off social media if you have any kind of ego
But
in that
if you
sort
have
of
the
spot.
confidence, you know that people are going to talk about you. You don't have to go out and
Right.
talk for yourself. You know people are going to talk about you. You know that people are going to follow you and want to be part of what you have.
And I do feel like you can be very confident and also have a big ego. I feel like
I don't think you can. I don't think they go hand in hand. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think if you're very confident, there's no reason to have an ego.
Or maybe you're
Like,
kind of
I think
confident
you're-
in
I think
yourself,
you're
but
thinking
you
of-
kind of have an ego.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, this is so difficult because I feel like
if you're confident, you can walk around with a big chest and be, and appear like people from the outside, people are going to say,
Maybe
he's got an ego.
Maybe it is
No,
that way.
he's not an ego. He's confident. He doesn't have ego.
He doesn't
You have
really
ego.
have one,
You
but
have
yeah.
ego. You don't have. I think you have one or the other. Is my opinion. Because I think I don't need an ego if I'm just super confident in everything that I do and what I know,
I think it
and that
depends
I'm
on
going to
how
be
humble
successful.
you are. How
Yeah, because if you're real judgmental, then you have
could
an
be
ego.
that
You're
could
just
be the
mad
deciding
because
that could be the deciding factor on
'Cause
whether
you can have an ego.
confidence or whether you have an ego.
You can have an ego and be
'Cause I don't
very
think it's-
unconfident if your life sucks.
Um,
And you just have a very big ego. And
Yeah.
instead of being boastful, you're just judging everybody.
I'm thinking you can
and
have
saying
a
bad
lot of
things about-
confidence in yourself, but have low self-esteem, so your ego gets higher.
I don't think you could have.
Well, maybe in certain instances,
I don't
like
know
like
how-
sometimes if somebody says out of nowhere, "Hey, you look good today," or just something like maybe you get real kind of like a selfish feeling, like, "Oh, wow,
Right,
that makes me
yeah,
feel
yeah,
better
yeah.
about or somebody says you have a good job, like you're thinking in your head, like maybe it's not as humble, although you keep it to yourself. You're not saying, "Oh yeah, I do do a good job," but you're thinking, "Oh, like he never says anything like that to me," and you can kind of get an. They stroke your ego and it builds up. It as long as you're not acting on it or being a douche about it.
I mean, I think that you could swap out the word ego for confidence. Hey, you know what? Someone's going to stroke your confidence. They're going to help you build your confidence. Not even stroke. Like they're going to build your confidence.
Right.
Right.
but ego's about like I said earlier. I feel it's like how you feel your image is being portrayed. So I can be confident or whatever, and you tell me I did a good job. That's enough for me. That strokes my ego. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But now. Well, I want him to know I did a good job too. Can
Right,
you go
tell
tell him,
everybody.
or can I post it on social media?
Right.
It's just
That's
how
where the ego comes
It's
in,
how
like-
your confidence is portrayed to everybody else. It's real selfish.
So we're thinking like maybe self-esteem has a little bit more in this. Maybe you could, I guess maybe you could say you have a lot of confidence and you could be
I
good
mean,
at
I don't
something.
think you either have confidence or you
Have
have an
ego.
ego. Like right now, you could be overconfident, or I mean, you could be real confident and your ego's good. But I mean, nobody's perfect.
But I don't think
Right.
it's. I don't
Sometimes-
think ego. I think you're using that. I don't think ego is good or bad. You either have an ego or you don't have an ego.
Yeah.
I don't think it's you have a good ego. You have good I don't think that's the way you can use ego.
Well, I mean, but sometimes, maybe I post something
like
on
ego,
social
either
media,
you're an
it's
egotistical
not-
person or you're a confident person. Like there's no.
But sometimes
you're
you can be in a
half
weird
ego and half.
You can be in a
confident.
bad
I mean,
mood or weird mood, and you're not perfect.
But I don't think that means you have an ego.
I think a lot of the times I have to try to keep my ego in check because I am very confident. So I have to.
That's pretty big ego. That the
I
comment
have-
you
I
just
don't-
said, that's kind of douchey.
But
I have
I don't
to-
look at it that way. I don't think that's. I think that
You either
you don't have an ego.
I feel like
think
so one
sometimes
person
sometimes
you're
either
just
does
confident.
or doesn't.
Sometimes
that's
I
what
have to
think.
manage it. Like
No,
I have
I
to.
think I don't think there's any man. I don't think you have. I think
so
it's
more. It's like a
I
filter.
mean, it's one. That's why I said earlier though. You could almost divide this into three. Either you're a confident positive person, a confident negative person, or you have an ego.
yeah.
So I think it's misinterpreted when somebody's like, well, you have an ego or good. No, you're a confident person that's a good person, or you could be a confident person that's a bad person.
Yeah, you
or
can just be real cocky about everything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean necessarily you have an ego. I think ego is fake. I mean, if you think you fake and you are saying things that you really don't have, like you're really not as good as you say you are, then yeah, you have an ego. I don't have an ego. Whatever I say is get confident in my heart. I truly know. I'm not building something up that's not really there. If I don't know it, I don't know it. But
Well,
I
maybe
don't think that it's an
maybe
ego.
not like on social media, but sometimes
No.
whatever the situation be, but you just something happens and you're like, oh shit, you get humbled. And you're like, okay, maybe I went a little too far. I know us three in general, just from what we post on social media, we're very careful about, or maybe we don't have to be careful, but we'll post something like, I don't like the wording that, that may sound douchey or something.
Mm-hmm.
We really care, but around each other, maybe we're just, playing a game or something. And, maybe we get too overconfident, or, it may be not you having an ego, but I'm losing and it makes me
But
think like you're
I
being real
think-
cocky about it.
I wouldn't break that down into everything. Like we're trying to break it down in you're cocky here, but you have an ego here, but you're confident here. Like I think it's the type of person you are. It's like a category of
So say, I
like
think-
not
I
you
think
can't break
everyone
it down in
can-
every situation.
I think everyone can kind of have their ego stroked.
You
but,
can be-
but you're not going to make it public and be real douchey
well, you
about
can't have
it.
your ego stroked if you don't have an ego. Like nobody's stroking my ego. I don't have an ego.
I'm not sure that
I can
it's
get
as
cocky.
simple as
I can
that.
get cocky at times, but I'm still just a confident person. Like it's not across the board. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's seen the
I
person
guess
that's
it's
just
perspective too.
that's just comes off as well. And I see that's where I think it's not, because how do I know if you have an ego or not? Like, I can't be the one to judge whether you're confident or have an
right,
ego.
but I think you could judge me by my confidence, making it, as my ego.
I shouldn't.
Right.
That's what I'm trying
I'm not
to get
saying
at.
that you
Because
do.
you could be cocky and arrogant and not
here's
have
the
an
point.
ego. It's just that's just what you come
Here's
off
the point
as.
I'm trying to make. The confidence and ego thing is an internal thing.
For you, or you're thinking like, overall.
That's my opinion for everybody.
Oh, okay.
Is either you have confidence or you have an ego. That's in you that you've got to figure out. I can't tell you one or the other because I don't know what you know. I don't know what you believe. I don't know how much you've built yourself up. I mean, nobody knows
right.
how much you've built yourself up. I think that's an internal thing that people have got to find and search for, and at any point in their life to see, am I confident? Do I really truly believe and know what I say? Or have I been building up an ego, and should I change myself?
Just from
I
like
think it's
personal experience too, I feel like the people that are more, I don't know, a good way to say it, it's like more jealous, have higher egos than they do confidence.
Well, that's why it's. I don't know if you have an ego or not. If you're just, it comes off as douchey or whatever. Not you. I'm just saying you as an example. But it's all in your intent.
yeah.
Because you could just be cocky and not care
Yeah.
what
Right,
anybody thinks, and you're like, hey, this is just how I celebrate. I'm sorry
Yes.
if you feel that way.
Johnny
Yeah.
Manziel.
But am I doing it, say, wait until this person walks by, oh, yeah, we won, or post it on social media? If you're doing that just to get people's reaction and let people know you are successful, then that's where your ego goes. I mean, you could be, I guess, arrogant in a sense and just
And maybe a lot of people think that
be very
they're
confident and
one of
you
the
just
same
you don't
too.
care what other
Like
people say.
if you're, maybe not have done as much in-depth research as we have, but you might think that someone with a high ego also has high confidence. Like it can be. I feel like it's perspective based. To me, it is. Is like I don't think you can be super confident and not have a little bit of an ego. Because like I know my ego, it's the willingness to learn or take criticism. Like that's how I know that I'm more of a confident person than I have. I don't just have a huge ego, but I can take criticism. I can stop and learn, and I might take a shot at it. But I'm fine with that. That's how I know I'm not.
Well, I think ego is more like
it's definitely
making sure
personality
other
based.
people know
No.
about it, or
Yeah.
whatever,
That's why I think that you keep saying, oh, I have this ego I have to keep. Like, I personally, from the outside looking in, I don't think you have an ego. I think you're using the term wrong. Personally.
Yeah.
I think that you're just confident, and with confidence, yes, you can be a little cocky. Yeah, just because you're confident, cocky, a fucking douche, like none of that makes you have an ego. That's why I say it's internal. Like, you don't go out and try to boast, look at me, look what I've done. Like, you like to talk about successes you have, but you're not scared to talk about your
like,
failures.
yeah,
also, like what you said.
I got this customer. Don't you think that's a big deal? You think it's a big deal? I got to cut. Like, I care what you think. I'm trying to get you to say, yeah, it's a good. You're like,
no,
oh, okay,
or look what I did. Yeah, look at those cars I got. Yeah, look how successful
I mean, you
I've
can
been.
talk-
You know what I
you
mean?
can
Like,
talk
if you
about
need
it.
hyped up.
it's how like kind of like you said, the perception of it, but it's the hype you build into it, or how you. Yeah, I mean, if I were to come in and think, man, look at all these cars I got. Look, I'm a successful motherfucker, right?
Yeah, you post it and then
like, yeah, okay, you probably
post it all cocky, and then not very many people like it. You're like,
or you see
oh,
the same
man,
person,
that sucks.
a person in the same situation that doesn't say anything about it. You're like, man, you got some nice stuff. You're like, oh, well, I thank you, man. I appreciate.
Right.
Like, I mean, I look. My perception of that is, man, they're confident in their life. They don't have to go out and
Right.
boast that they have these things, or that like internally they're just a confident person and they love their life. Where I think someone with an ego doesn't love their life.
So I guess it feels like more like the more humble you are, it can turn out to be the more confident you might be.
Maybe that's what
Could
I
be.
mean. Whether everybody has ego to an
an extent. Yeah, I feel like
ego's like a thing everybody has. It's, do you have a large ego or do you care what people think? So, but I think they don't really go hand in hand. But humble and ego can kind of.
Well, I mean, I think
be
if we're going to
very
say an
opposite.
ego, then you take the confidence out as like I don't think.
I feel like
I think we're trying to combat I'm trying to
You
show
can't be
that
humble and have a big ego. Like, you
Right.
can have a big ego and still be confident to some extent.
I feel
But
like it's like a
ego and humble, you can't, because that's polar opposites.
I feel like I feel like
being humble, you don't care what other people think. You just
Right.
you're comfortable with what's
Right.
happening, and
I feel like if you have like low self-esteem, you have the lack of confidence, your ego, and your
So then you're building
feigning
up. You're trying to build your
ego.
Okay, well then, so you're trying to build up your ego,
No,
or you're trying to build your confidence.
well, I would try to build my confidence. But
So then you don't have an ego. You
Right.
are working.
You
You
care
might
what
be at a
you
different
think about
level.
yourself.
But
You don't
also-
care what he
but
thinks
like,
about
so
you. Care what you
more
I
think.
on
think-
the humble side.
Well, yeah, but I think you can not be humble and still have confidence. I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to be.
No, you
humble.
don't have to have humble alcohol. You just
No,
have to be
yeah.
humble, or you can't be.
But that's
humble
where I
with
think
the
that
ego,
we're trying
with the
to.
big ego.
I'm trying to separate the two.
Right.
Of if you have an ego or you're building an ego, then you don't have the confidence. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if you're building this confidence, you're building yourself, then you're here. I don't think you can take half from here and half from here.
I don't know.
I think you're building one or the other.
I feel like it goes hand in hand. To me,
How so?
like I think that you're gonna have a bit of an ego the more confident you are. Just that's like I feel like an ego might be a byproduct of.
No, I think you're thinking of
confidence.
ego as
Some people
like
can.
a trait.
Some people
But you're
can.
using an ego as a trait, like you're confident. And, you know, like you build confidence, so now you're going to be arrogant. Ego is not arrogance.
Right.
It might be a description, but ego is not a description of that.
Yeah. So for some people, you're saying if you're thinking the wrong way, that once you get some people have big egos. Once you get bigger, your ego gets bigger. Not necessarily, because when they suck, their ego was still big.
Like at work, for
They just
example,
weren't confident. They were very insecure about
I'm
it.
trying to build my own legacy. Like I'm trying to be the
So that's what
greatest
you're-
person of all time. Like I want to be the best repair guy. I want to know everything. I want to be the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people take that as like I have a huge ego, which
Then
On the-
people,
on
if
the-
people think you have an ego, then they think you are an insecure person. That's what
I
we're
don't-
putting. I mean, that's what we said earlier. We talked
I
this
think
pre-show that
if you look into it more, yes. But
ego is
I'm
insecurity.
thinking-
Ego is falseness.
right,
You're assuming that people know what, are
Right.
using the definition correctly.
right.
Yes. Because I think a lot of
Yeah,
people.
well,
get
I think that's what we're
arrogance
trying to
and
teach people. I mean, we're
cockiness
not-
and
Right.
ego.
We're trying to explain that.
Yeah,
I
I'm,
mean, we're
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate
because
here.
I know. But what I think is that a lot of people think they go hand in hand,
Right.
And we're trying to tell them that it's not. Like it's complete.
Yeah.
They're two different.
There's cockiness. There's
I
arrogance.
mean, the whole thing of
there's
this
humility,
segment is
there's arrogance, and then
is
there's ego. Big ego.
ego versus confidence. Well, if they're versus, then they're always opposing each
Mm-hmm.
other. There's no half and half. You don't get half Eagles, half Cowboys. You either one or the other.
Right.
So I think that's what we're trying to make the point.
Like the difference between the two, like separate them out. Like so, if you're a very confident person, you don't necessarily have to have an ego. You
wouldn't have an ego.
if you're more
Either
confident.
an ego or you have confidence. It's one or the other, I think.
Okay.
Unless you, I mean, I don't know. You have a better combating.
You don't think you can have a big ego, and then somebody like you don't think you have an ego, but you listen to the show and you're like, well, shit, maybe I have an ego.
Exactly.
And then maybe
Right.
you can correct
You
yourself.
can't
Right.
correct it.
Maybe
Absolutely.
it humbles. Yeah.
No, there's
so,
there's
so
nothing
maybe there's
that
we're trying
you
to
can't
tell you.
correct.
You know, because you can have a big ego and still, you know, be successful if you're
Right.
doing the things right. You know, we were giving examples, you know, strong examples of where big ego could be bad.
If you
That's
have
not
a big
every
ego,
instance, so, but-
if you try to be a touch more humble, maybe that would help
Well,
boost
you,
your
you get rid of your insecurities. That's what
confidence
you do.
up. And
But
then you
yeah, it
no
wouldn't be a
longer
touch
have an
more
ego.
humble. It's like, okay, you're humble and then your ego goes down.
Right.
It's they're because they're polar opposites.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I was saying.
But
I
maybe
feel
you're
like it's-
listening and
It goes up and down.
you're very successful. We're saying, hey, just check yourself. Just make sure you're confident and you're not being
Like, your
egotistical.
ego doesn't get in the way of your confidence, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, because then you get maybe overconfidence isn't really overconfidence. Maybe it's just having an ego.
Or sometimes
think
you
that's
don't
what-
realize you have an ego.
I think
if
that's
you
what Tony's
care
saying.
about.
Yeah. So
Like
really,
if you care
there's not
about going
really
out
being-
and buying the big house because everybody else has it. If you care about buying brand new cars because everyone else has them,
Right.
that's your you have an ego.
Boosting your ego.
You have an ego issue.
So maybe
versus
that's
just
what I'm saying.
being
There's-
confident in what you have when you're trying to keep up with somebody or you're
when you're
trying
moving fast and growing fast and then you're not overconfident. You just have an ego. Like you're going fast, and then you bite off too much because you think you can handle it. And then you say, well, I was overconfident. Well, maybe you weren't overconfident. There's nothing wrong with being overconfident. It's you had a big ego and you weren't really checking yourself. Like maybe your team's work is why you got here, and you're just have blinders on, and you're just going. Yeah, we can do this, but you're only doing that because they're helping you out, and you're not really taking into account what everyone's doing.
Right.
You're just thinking, oh, we can handle that, and then, somebody quits or is on vacation or whatever, and then you realize, oh wait, we can't do it because we didn't have them. We're not as
well. If I think if that's the case, that is confidence. You were a confident person willing to say that. I think it's when you don't. I think when you're the owner and you just keep going. No, that's where the humbleness comes in. I mean,
I wasn't saying the owner realize that. I'm just saying in this perspective, that's what happened.
Me. Then you have a huge ego. I mean, I do think you can have a small ego or a large ego, but I don't know if. I think if you have any confidence at all, like true confidence, not you're telling that's where ego comes in. You tell yourself you have confidence, but you really don't have confidence.
Yeah.
Then that's where you have an ego. And I think you could, that could be small amounts, if you're maybe you just have a little bit of an ego. But, then we know the people that have huge egos that are super boastful that just go.
I think they're too big to fail. And
yeah, that's a huge issue when you're in a situation like that.
I think that's the most important part. That's the biggest difference is their willingness to fail is how you know you're more of a confident person than...
You have to be confident with caution, though. You have to know where you're at. You can be confident and realize...
too much confidence.
You can say you can't do something and be confident.
Yeah,
I mean...
Absolutely.
You can't.
You have to be able to say it, though. Where an ego comes in is where in your heart you can't do something, but you're going to tell everybody else you can.
Yeah, because we can say we want this particular episode to go viral on YouTube, but then tell people, we're going to get 1 billion views. That's totally realistic. Yeah, we're going to get 1 billion views.
We do have a stadium named after.
You could say,
or if you don't,
but then
if you don't reach that goal, then you start making excuses for why you didn't make that goal.
Yeah,
I think that's how you tell the difference between ego and confidence.
Yes.
If you're willing to, because I don't think a person that has a high ego is going to say like, "Oh, I messed up."
No,
because
they're going to blame.
Humbling.
It's going to start being the blame game.
Right.
It's going to be it was so and so fucked me.
Well, sometimes
this happened.
Sometimes you can be crazy. I mean, saying 1 billion views on YouTube, so that's a gross exaggeration. But you're confident you have this goal and you don't meet it, and then.
I think
if it humbles you, you should say, okay, let's back up. Why did we not
I think
get that?
A confident person in their mind might say, man, we want this, or in a small group, but would never go on
social media
and be like, we're going for the
we want 1,000
because this is
views,
what you want, but this is what your goal is down here.
Say,
we're not going to go
guys, and not to get twisted, we might say hey, we want to get 1,000 views. That's not our ego talking. It's I know we're going to get 1,000 views.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this show is the best one we've done so far. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
If you don't put a date on it, you never fail if you don't put a date on it.
I guess
eventually.
So. But no, I
that
think
goes
you're
back
right.
to the slippery slope.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right on that. But also, how do I want to put this?
Yeah, this is a hard topic because it
is because I think for us, because we have done some research and we've conversed, we've kind of looked at this. Most people don't look at it in the way we're trying to.
So if you're listening, you should look up the definition of ego, look up the definition of confidence, and see
do a little
how
research
different they actually are.
Yeah, do some research of your own to see if you're
and maybe kind of audit
confident.
Your life a little bit.
Yeah, that's
if you have
perfect.
a business, audit your business and just see where you think you can't fail. Maybe go through and make sure you have those. You can be confident and have a safety net too.
Yeah, for sure.
I
mean, that's how I am. I
go through your social media posts and just go back and I'm not saying delete anything, but go back and say, why did you post that? Mm-hmm. Were you posting it just for likes and shares? Which sometimes who cares?
If you want people to see that you have a lot
everyone's
of confidence,
selfish to some
sometimes
extent.
It can look like your ego is coming out, but if you really look at the definition, you might turn your perspective.
Yeah, exactly. It would change your perspective. If more people change their perspective of it, I think they would see more confident people.
What the difference is.
And think, man, they're just a good, confident person. I want to strive to be a confident person
if you're just outgoing, if you're an outgoing person and you just don't think about, maybe you do go too far celebrating.
Sure.
Maybe I'm sure there's a lot of athletes that I don't like that are very humble, nice people.
Right.
That I just see one side of it and I don't think that about it. I'm pretty sure we're confident on Antonio Brown that he's pretty arrogant though, because he's been interviewed in talks. But because when you get a villain, you get a villain, the media is going to portray it one way because that's a storyline. Everybody can't be great or can't. But
obviously, from the outside, we really can't judge.
Right.
Yeah, if you're in that situation, making millions of dollars and being successful, not everyone's going to be the
You can
assume. You're
It's
going
hard.
to thank God. You're going to thank your friends, and thank you.
I think a good example of this is Chad Johnson, Ochocinco. He looks like he's huge ego, but I mean,
he
look
changed
at his
his
Twitter.
name to Chad Ochocinco.
Look at his Twitter. He is
He's
like
a super humble
the
person.
coolest dude ever. I mean, I want to see him get beat at FIFA. I don't know if y'all follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, I do.
His Twitter is either full
and he eats McDonald's
of,
like 3 times a day.
His Twitter is
still fit. He's still fit. Yeah.
his Twitter is full of just taking care of waitresses and waiters and stuff like that, and I think he did get beat in FIFA, and he went to that guy's house and just hung out and played FIFA with him. That was can you imagine playing FIFA and him just show up at your house? That's crazy to me. But he also did all the celebrations, but his were entertainment. It turns out, not, he didn't just do the Johnny Manziel. I think that was, and I don't know Johnny Manziel. I actually his social media too.
It's no, you're right. It's hard from the outside. It would look like, man, this guy's got an ego,
have
the
to
whole
see how they
money.
lose
Yeah, look
too.
at me. But you do have to know the person. And I think that's why it's hard from the outside.
Yes.
To judge.
But you can kind of gauge
this is more.
You see how they
to a
win
point,
and then see how they lose too.
Yeah.
Because you can be boastful, but then bring up Kevin Durant again when things aren't going right. He's the first one.
He's the first one to start crying. Yeah.
And that's an
And
ego
go
problem.
and win 2
Yeah,
fake
that
championships.
is. You're right. That is an ego.
That's an ego problem and a confidence problem.
Yeah. Yeah, he has 0.
Fake championships.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's... Man, this is such a hard topic. It really is. And
they're so similar, but also vastly different.
You're exactly right. That's
I
the
think
best way
you'd
to
have
put it.
to, like you said, research it. Not just read the definitions, but research it. It's almost like to get real scientific with specifically what each one means, each definition means.
And like you mentioned, auditing yourself to see if you have an ego or you have confidence.
Which you should always be doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of growing.
I think you should get a list
Yeah.
of, once, however often, audit yourself, your social media, your business, whatever.
Your
And just
employees.
go down your checklist. And if something's wrong, just fix it. It's okay to find something wrong with yourself. Let you find it. Don't let someone else call you out.
If you have
on it.
an ego, large or small, I mean, it's correctable. It can be, but I think that first you have to be able to tell yourself that you even have a problem with it.
Right.
Before you can transition.
Let me throw another wrench in this thing. What if you... Man, I'm trying to think of a better example now. I also just had a brain fart because I just saw myself on the camera. Crap.
Yeah, you don't have the tank top, the cut off sleeves.
I know.
You
Look at
sleeves.
he's rocking the new Business and Beyond.
I got distracted because I was like, oh man, I meant
Shirt.
to mention.
Stand up.
I don't want
No,
everybody
that was a good. That was a. We got the logo
Look at this thing. Look at this thing.
on his
How good this looks.
over that general area.
Yeah.
It's hard to see on there.
This is a medium too, by
Just
the way.
for
So you might-
$59.99.
maybe
He's
like
getting
this
swole.
dude, yeah, maybe. I think it's fat. I think I'm just getting fat. That could be what it is. It's all at McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's. That's not true at all. Yeah, I just completely ruined that part of it.
You don't want any dehydrated food.
Oh,
It's
no.
been rehydrated.
So I'm maybe way off topic here, but I just read a thing on Google that grandma had a McDonald's burger in her closet for some
Forever,
reason.
and it didn't mold, yeah.
That's
That's crazy
disgusting.
shit.
The bread didn't even mold. Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, that blows my
it
mind.
tastes
Even the
pretty good,
bread
though.
doesn't. I mean, I can't keep bread in my freaking pantry for maybe a week, and then it starts molding. I mean, it's just...
So you're gonna get me on another topic. That's enriched bleach white bread. It doesn't. It
Yeah, I
molds.
don't eat white
regular
bread.
bread.
No,
If I eat any bread, it's
whole
white
grain.
Real bread
Wheat bread.
doesn't mold. That's
Our whole-
what
we have whole
croutons are
grain.
made out of. Is day old bread, right? Did you know that? Croutons, day old bread.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Eat
something
day
with
old
like
donuts.
enriched wheat or whatever it is.
Mine doesn't have any rich
in
wheat.
there,
We don't
it
have
will-
wheat bread. It's whole grain. Like,
Man.
it's the most expensive shit you can
When
buy.
Joe Rogan comes on our podcast, he'll tell us about it.
Okay.
That might be a little arrogant and egotistical.
I think
Saying
Joe Rogan
when.
and I could be really good friends, just like Des Bryant. I think he's my best friend. He just doesn't know
Actually,
yet.
Des Bryant probably does have a huge ego. He's
I don't know, man.
very humbling, man.
No,
you can have
I
an ego
disagree,
and
though.
keep it in check in the public view, where Des Bryant's kind of there, but he's not like T.O.
I disagree.
No.
Watch his on
Status.
Instagram. He posts a lot of workout
I
videos.
follow him on Instagram.
He doesn't look good. Like, watch him go in and out of his routes. He's slow,
He's always
man.
been bad.
But he's
always run bad routes.
No,
he's
but
always been slow
I'm not
in
saying
and out
like
of
his.
them.
But
Yeah, that's why
I'm talking
when you
about his,
throw it to him, he's freaking wide open just because it's
his
a
foot
broken
speed.
route. That's not what
his
he's
foot
supposed
speed
to
in
do.
and out, where it used to be.
Nobody could cover him because they didn't know how to cover what the fuck he was running. Like,
He's
what
just
are you
running-
running, dude?
Like,
That's
instead
not
of,
even a
like, angle
route.
routes. He's
Unless
putting
you're
the curve
Romo,
out.
Yeah, he's
just
the
run out
worst.
there. When the guy gets on you, I'm going to throw it 6 feet in the air. Just jump
Jump
up,
up, yeah.
higher than that guy. That's all you got to do.
But
That's the reason
that's his
Dak
game.
couldn't do it. Dak wouldn't throw it high.
No,
Yeah.
but I think that's also his game. But I think that's Des Bryant's game. He's not a route runner.
No,
he's
he's
a
not.
I'm going to beat you at the top of the ball. Like, he's going to muscle it away from you, which he did awesome with Romo.
Yeah.
But it took Romo a little while to get that accuracy down because he was the new age
Well,
Brett
Romo
Favre.
was a few years in when Des came along.
Right, and he was like
Des
starting
got
to
a
establish himself.
brand new rookie quarterback, and
And it's just not Dak's thing, I think.
No.
Too.
No, they
It's-
just didn't mesh. It
If
just
you
didn't
don't,
work.
if you're not open, he's not throwing it to you.
that's why when Cooper will, he's really good at running routes, and he can. What's the right word?
Create separation.
Yeah, he's good at thinking off the top of his head and doing things. So that's why it was really good for Dak. He just comes back, and then Dez is just kind of out there. Just throw it to me when I'm open.
Who is the best route runner in the league? It's not Amari Cooper. I think he's number 3.
See, I have to change this if I'm going to get into what I'm going to be getting into. But I'm mostly local. Like the last few years, I don't really pay attention to most national sports or sports outside of Cowboy Stars,
Devontae
Mavericks,
Adams.
Rangers.
I think
I don't
he's
see. I haven't
the
seen
best
enough of him.
route runner, and then
I mean, it's hard to watch just highlights. I think you have to really
the dude.
Unless they're on my
watch a lot.
If they're on my fantasy football team, I'll pay attention. Or if they play the Cowboys, that is the only
the dude from the
time.
Chargers.
That's why I feel
Keenan
like
Allen?
my hate.
Yeah, he's number 2 for sure.
I feel like my
route
hate for
runners.
Aaron Rodgers is
I think it's Devontae
legit.
Adams, Keenan Allen, and then Amari Cooper.
Maybe
Watch
route
them-
running doesn't matter then
watch
because
them-
you're talking about 3 guys that just aren't the top.
Watch those guys.
They might be the best route runners, but they haven't been the most successful.
Right. But
Maybe
that's
that
what I'm
route
saying. Like,
running
I think
doesn't matter.
that just shows you how like vastly different football is. Like most people, if you never played it before, you don't quite understand.
Yeah.
But
Like,
I know those
think
guys a
Devontae
lot
Adams,
from playing.
his routes. I
Well,
mean, not only
look
is
at
he
somebody.
fast, but he's
Look at someone like we just talked about, Des Bryant. He's
Randy
always
Moss.
his whole life. He's not a good route runner. He was known not to study the plays very well, but he was just a competitor. He was a dog. He would just go
Right.
out and eat.
Randy Moss. He can run one route, the same
Yeah.
one Des Bryant runs. That fade or the seam, but he was on great teams though.
Yeah.
Well, mostly great teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's gonna be a topic for your new radio show.
Does Randy Moss have an ego?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Well, seems like he has a healthy ego.
I think
though,
his
or
ego
he can make it work.
changed.
Yeah. I
Once
think
he went-
he seems more confident
And
now.
go back to
than-
last show is he all of a sudden went to a place that had outstanding culture.
Yeah.
And I think that changed him.
Yeah.
Because now, because he's on TV now too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his whole bearing is different now.
It's Monday Night Football, isn't it?
ESPN,
Or
whatever
he just works for
ESPN's.
ESPN,
Yeah.
yeah,
he's
Yeah,
on
watch
ESPN.
Randy Moss. Sometimes he'll talk about receivers, and it's
Yeah, no,
like he
I-
gives you the Romo experience, like
Mhm.
stuff that if you've never played receiver before, you have no idea what he's talking about. And then once you see, like, I love watching him do Devontae Adams. He just tells you how great in and out his routes are, and he'll be like, there's no way I would ever have been able to do this, And then so that he wouldn't have done that before. I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, I think the Patriots changed him for sure. Like they changed his ego
or even in life
to
in general,
confidence.
maybe.
Yeah. I think it's a life altering thing. Once you
Mhm.
figure out the difference between
It is.
why we made it a show topic, I guess. The difference between having a big ego and
Mm-hmm.
changing it to
Well,
confidence.
it depends. All these guys have egos, athletes, because they at high school, college, they're
Well,
the
and I think you
best on their
have to.
team.
Yeah.
But Randy Moss goes on there where the Patriots, where Randy Moss isn't the guy. Tom Brady's the guy there.
Right.
Bill Belichick's the guy there. So he's kind of knocked down a few pegs on the Vikings. Dante Culpepper wasn't over Randy Moss. Chris Carter maybe, but Chris Carter was kind of out of there after a few years. So you get this big ego where no one kind of puts you in check. It just allows you to go, or your false confidence to keep growing.
Maybe it's when your confidence goes too wild.
Because there's no one to. There's no one to.
And maybe they are vastly different. I mean, I know they are vastly different, but maybe that's a good example.
One or the other.
Yeah. So I feel like
I think this topic is one that
is difficult.
I think we could do even more research on. This might be something we get into in another show in the future.
Sure.
Because I think there's so much, and like you said, I mean, I think we can all agree that there is a slippery slope, and as different as they are, I think they're different. I think we all have, as a general public, have a perception that they're too much the same, or that you can have.
They can be different
both.
With a very thin line in between.
I think they're far apart with a thin line. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think that this one, for us even, will take some more research and some more looking into, and
because we come in with a plan thinking that, like they were so super different, and then once we started talking about it, we're like, well, wait a minute, maybe they're not so.
And I think that's what this is all about. I mean, I think that's where we all have confidence. Yeah. We're confident that, you know what, maybe we don't know as much about this, but
talk for yourself. I have a big ego. I'm definitely.
But let's all do research. I'd love to hear from some of our listeners, and let's get some feedback.
Yeah, research. I mean,
maybe we'll have a call in. Maybe we'll have someone do a call in, and let's be on a future episode with us.
Bryant, if you're listening, please call in.
We don't have a number for him. Well, we do have a number. We haven't mentioned it. It's in the comment below. And this is recorded, right? It's not live. Man.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, just comment, and we'll, we can get with you, message us, anything like that.
Yep.
Follow us on any of our social media platforms, podcasts, everything. Comment if you want to be on the show. Talk about this, research it.
Show topics, let us know.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all in the description box below. Until next time, I'm Ashton.
I'm Tony.
I'm Tyler.
Finding the sports equipment you need for the price you want to pay is difficult. You go to Academy and pay the big box store price, and Walmart doesn't have the selection you're looking for. Let me offer you an alternative, Rhino Sports. They give you great prices because they are 100% online. No storefront means low cost, which means savings are passed on directly to the consumer. Rhino Sports is a local Johnson County company, and selection goes way beyond what's featured on the website. Just go to rhinosportstexas.com to see what they have to offer. Again, that's rhinosportstexas.com. If what you are looking for isn't featured on their website, feel free to send them a message at their website or check them out on Facebook at RhinoSportsTX. Again, on Facebook at RhinoSportsTX.